Hey, you guys, here at Jenn Henry at the Jenn Henry Experience, and I'm sitting down with a good friend of mine, Miss Carolyn Griffin. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, sweetheart. So Carolyn is celebrating her 25th year as a licensed chiropractor. So congratulations on that, sweetheart.
Thank you.
It's a big accomplishment.
Thank you. I love it. It's something I've been, obviously I've been doing it my whole life. Practically, I feel like it's my whole life, definitely my whole adult life. And it's just something that I have a very big passion for. And we see a lot of people that, aren't, that have a lot of pain. Yeah, pain is a big portion of it. But being able to take care of somebody with just your hands and getting rid of neck pain, headaches, back pain, things like that, and without drugs and surgery is pretty remarkable. So it's amazing to do it every day.
You're definitely a natural healer. And so often I talk with my clients about, and we're speaking about what it is that, like, what can we do, right? Like, I, as a coach, I want to help my clients find out what they need to do to find their own personal balance, right? Their perfect balance for themselves, mind, body, and spirit. So in their health, their emotions, right? Emotionally, spiritually,
Absolutely.
physically. So physically, and in turn, emotionally and mentally, how do you feel like you benefit your clients finding their balance? I mean, that's such a loaded thing. That's what you do, is you align your clients, correct? Your patients.
Right. Yeah. So what we do is so if you go to a dentist, they're looking for cavities. When you go to a chiropractor, we're looking for subluxations. So a subluxation is literally a misalignment of the vertebrae where two bones move out of their normal alignment. And what happens is it can pinch and irritate the nerves. And those nerves go to all the vital organs, muscles, tissues, glands, and cells, pretty much everything to make your body work and function. So if you have a subluxation or a misalignment pinching and irritating a nerve, let's say that nerve is going to a particular organ, that organ's not going to function as well. And over time, your overall health is going to start to decline slowly over time. So it's not just about getting someone out of pain. Yes, of course, that is our number one goal. That's usually what brings people to chiropractors in the first place: neck pain, back pain, headaches. But it actually helps to boost your immune system. And today, with everything that we've got going on with COVID-19, boosting your immune system is super important. So often, like today, like with everyone, they're living in fear. They're trying to isolate. I understand isolating, staying in your home, washing your hands, and doing all those things that are important. But I don't think the conversation, I wish, would shift a little bit. Not only just what can you do outside to protect yourself, but how about what you can do inside for your body to protect yourself? Because you need to boost your immune system, because the reality is this: we're surrounded by a ton of bacteria, viruses, fungi, all kinds of different organisms that could potentially make us sick. And what makes one person sick? What makes the other person not sick, right? Or what makes someone not fall into that hole where people, they're constantly not feeling well. They have a immunocompromised system. What makes that difference? Well, it's your immune system. It's how well you can actually tolerate and take and get your body to heal when it happens. So what we do as chiropractors is, of course, not only getting someone out of pain, but to help boost the immune system so that when these outside things start to come at you, you're able to handle it. And so you might get a sniffle, but you get over it. It's not lasting 3 weeks. It's not lasting 4 months for a cough. You're actually going to get your body to heal naturally. And so within chiropractic, and it's not just chiropractic, I talk about other things like you need to increase your water, you need to meditate. You also need to have different supplements that's going to help your body to heal. Like, what can you do to increase your immune system? There's so many things that you need to consider. So instead of living in fear, which is unfortunately what so many people are doing now, which I understand that. But if you also understand how the body functions, you're not going to be so scared.
Oh my gosh, education is key, right? Education, asking questions, getting curious. What can I do? How can I make myself whole and healthy from the inside out, right? And so one of the ways that you mentioned, so you mentioned water, you mentioned meditation, you mentioned supplementation. I'm curious because it's so obvious, right? But we don't really know what it means, like gut health. Right? Like, we're just, all the science is coming out to the forefront now. I know we've known it for a long time, but it has not been talked about until recently as much, correct? So gut health. Now, how important is gut health to our immune system?
Very. So what's interesting is, I believe it was 2008. It was the Human Microbiome Project. And what they realized is there is a connection between your brain and your gut. And being a chiropractor, that was super interesting to me because I work with the nervous system. I work with the nervous system to take the pressure off so your body will function better. hold on, there's a little hair thing going on that's driving me crazy. Still a girl. And, but so the thing that's interesting about that is if we realize that your immune system, 70% of your immune system is in your gut, and there's that brain gut connection, it works together. So years ago, okay, so chiropractic's been around for over 125 years. And back then, when a person would get adjusted, miracles would happen. They would, you know, come out of wheelchairs, they'd walk again. People would have debilitating illnesses and they would get better. It's like we started over the years starting to seeing that trend go down. Like we would get people out of pain, but not these major miracles that they would see 100 years ago. Why? A lot of it has to do with our diet. It's the foods that we're eating. It's the environment. It's the chemicals and toxins that are in the air, the water, everything around us. And so our bodies aren't able to, we're adapting wonderfully, but we can't get through all of that. And so you have to say, okay, what's the other connection? It's our gut health. I mean, think about 100 years ago. Was there dirt everywhere? Yes. Were they playing in the dirt or were they playing Xbox 100 years ago? You know, the kids were outside, people were outside, they were planting and gardening and they were getting dirty. And there's a lot of good bacteria in this dirt that can actually help build your microbiome. And when you have a strong microbiome, you're less likely to get sick. So 70% of your immune system actually stems from your gut. And so if you have a healthy gut, you have a healthy nervous system, together you're going to be that much stronger and able to handle a lot of these things that are happening to us today.
Absolutely. I did do studies under functional medicine and digestive health, gut health. You know, for me, my focus being mental health, right? Okay. My clients are 99% of my clients suffer from some form of mental health issue. And one of the first places that we start is the microbiome, is the gut. Because of the fact that, like you said, there's a connection directly between the gut and the brain through the vagus nerve, right? And so when there is an imbalance in the gut bacteria, correct? And so specifically what is wrong, what's happening? And I'm going to guess that, you know, through my studies, but like I said, I don't have my degree, but there's the imbalance in the gut bacteria itself, the breakdown in there's like mucosal lining that happens that like messes up the neurotransmitters, right? The neurotransmitters in the gut, and there becomes a break in the gut lining. And actually you can actually get through, and then certain things that aren't broken down yet or aren't supposed to get through are getting through into the blood-brain barrier, breaking through the blood-brain. And so tell us a little bit about that. That's kind of geeky, but that's what's happening, right?
So the gut lining is only like one cell thick. And when we eat things like genetically modified foods, or we're breathing in this toxic air, or eating foods that are filled with hormones and other antibiotics and things of that nature, when we ingest and taking medication, when we take all of those things and we're eating it, drinking it, ingesting it in some way, it's going into our stomach, and your stomach, which then eventually it goes into the colon or the large intestine. And so that's where a lot of the food or toxins can start to break through. It's almost like punching through the gut lining, and then it creates what we call a leaky gut. And then what ends up happening is those toxins go into the bloodstream and it can cross that blood-brain barrier. So by getting some of the things that we need to do is heal that lining. So it's interesting. People want to jump straight to fermented foods. Okay, I need to do fermented foods. That's going to have the biggest impact. And yes, it does, but there is a specific order. So I did create the 5 R's of creating leaky gut. One of the things you need to do first is actually remove. The first R is remove. You need to remove a lot of the toxins. You need to remove a lot of the different foods that you might be eating that could be still creating wreaking havoc on your body or wreaking havoc on your gut. So that's one of the main things that needs to happen first. Then you need to start to fix your gut lining. And when you start to work on fixing the gut lining or rehabbing it in a sense, then that's going to end up helping to fix the holes and get that to where when you start to renovate or clean out a lot of the toxins, things are going to get better. So you need to definitely remove, you need to repair the gut lining, and then you need to revitalize is what I call the 3rd R, because when you're about to renovate, so it's remove, repair, and then revitalize, you need to boost your immune system in order to get your body ready for what you're about to do. So the next R, number 4, would be renovate. So if you've ever had a kitchen, if you ever redo a house or something like that, they rip everything down before they build it back up, right? So that rip down process, that could, if you have a leaky gut, it's going to all that, even though you're doing something good, getting rid of it all, where's it going you've got holes, right? So you need to repair that gut lining. Then you need to renovate. That's when you pull it all out. And the last R is rebuild. That's when you'll start to build up on fermented foods and probiotics and prebiotics and things of that nature. So in the very beginning, people also they want to load up on probiotics, they want to load up on prebiotics, and that's not always the best idea. First, you need to actually clear out a lot of the toxins, because when it comes to bacteria, not only if with a prebiotic, you're not only feeding the good bacteria, but you're feeding the bad. So if you have this imbalance of bad and very little good, you're still going to give them a lot of power. So you need to actually clean it all out. Maybe do some other things like lemon water and some polyphenols and things of that nature instead. And then once you clear everything out, then you can go ahead and go into rebuilding your gut. And that's when it's going to be super important to incorporate fermented foods and things of that nature. So there's a whole system, and it's a smarter way, because here's the reality. So many people have SIBO, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth.
Yes,
and if you
absolutely.
eat fermented foods, you might think, yeah, I need to eat fermented foods. It's good for me.
But you're feeding that.
But then, yeah, that's an influx of more bacteria. And some people feel super lousy after they eat fermented foods. And that might be the reason why they're like, oh, it doesn't do me any good. I actually get super bloated. I feel worse. I'm very gassy. My stomach hurts. Well, you might have SIBO. And so without doing special tests to find out, then you don't know. So it's better to just go the other route of removing the toxins, repairing your gut lining, revitalize your body with immune boosters and your adrenals, renovate, use botanicals to help kill a lot of the bad toxins, fungi, candida, things of that nature, get it out of your system, and then rebuild your gut or microbiome with fermented foods and probiotics. That's the best.
Gosh, Carolyn, I can't even believe that is gold. If you guys need to pause this and go grab a pen and paper real quick, you might want to rewind this a little bit and take some notes. I mean, this is something that, so when you if you look into SIBO, or if you look into balancing your gut and you look into different programs, there are lots of programs out there. Not a lot, but there are some decent programs out there, right?
Yeah.
But you literally just broke all that down, because what they're going to have you do, I've been through a few, what they're going to have you do is they're going to have you eliminate, they're going to have you detox off of certain things that are causing the issue possibly in the first place, right? Like a lot of reintroduction diets do it for this reason, to figure out, I'm going to take out anything that could possibly causing me inflammation. And then I'm going to start slowly, one by one, adding things back in, and that's where I just love that. So I love that. Remove, repair, revitalize, renovate, and rebuild.
Yeah.
So the 5 R's. Awesome. So once you have gotten through that process and you have started to rebuild, now what? Right? Because that's only a certain period of time, and you go through that either with a licensed professional or
months. That literally could take you months, because if you're truly sick, if you really have, like the repair process could take 8 weeks. Remove, depends on where you are, where you fall on that spectrum. Are you that person that eats fast food 3 times a week? Are you the person that has, a lot of canned and boxed food in your pantry? Do you eat out a lot? For some people, phase 1 could take a long time, just because that's a lifestyle change.
And I think that's so important and this is where it's like right now in this place. And so I'm just jumping in for my clients here, right? Because right now, if you have been looking into, if you're just now learning about this, I don't want anyone feeling shame or guilt about the way that they've lived, because what are the choices that they've made, because honestly, we are programmed a certain way, right? Like our parents raised us to eat a certain way, and we're not taught that may not be okay, because they weren't taught that may not be okay. And really, we're just now learning about all this. So this is new information. And I feel like, as we do our best until we know better. And now we're learning better. And that's why I have you on, so that we can really break this down so it's not so difficult. Because at first, if we've made it this far and you've been listening, right, it can be a little confusing. It can be a little overwhelming. But the truth is if you take the time to really be patient with yourself and recognize maybe you are in the beginning stages and you do need to remove some things. Maybe we slowly, instead of getting into deprivation or depriving ourselves of things that we love, just start to notice, right? Just get to that place where you're noticing, gosh, I really don't feel that great after I eat. What am I eating? What am I doing that is maybe contributing to me not feeling my best on a daily basis, right? Exactly. And so when you start to acknowledge that, that's the first place. That's the first step, is just that noticing, right? And so then the last thing you want to do is stress out about it, right? Because that's going to cause more cortisol. Right, exactly. Then the more belly fat or more cottage cheese, that's what cortisol does for us. Yeah. So you know, it's just really being kind to yourself at that moment and deciding what you want your next step to be, right? And so then you can move forward and you can start to, you know, remove things and you can start to repair. And when you and you know, hire a coach, hire a professional that knows, you know, how to walk you through that and how to keep you in a good place in your mind.
Right.
While you're doing
and I
it.
have like this, the 5 R's, I do have that in a course. It's an online course.
Oh, good.
And if they go to myculturelife.com, that's the website that I have. It's not my practice, but I started this other company called My Culture Life because I found the importance of chiropractic, but also fermented foods and what that looks like. And as I dove deep, that's when I realized, okay, it's not just about fermented foods. It's about doing all these other things. And so I walk you through that. I have it literally laid out step by step, exactly how to do it. I've got a ton of, you know, cheat sheets that they can have, shopping lists of what that looks like, a journal that they can have, all the things that they would need to get through that program, how to do intermittent fasting. It's very, very detailed. But they can do that. They can get that online if they want, if they feel like they have something going on. And even if you don't, it is a good way to clean house.
That's a great
foundation afterwards. Even if
that's
you
a great resource.
Yeah.
How much is that going to run people, Carolyn?
Sorry?
How much does that run?
I believe it's only like $197. I don't charge a bunch for it.
Yeah, that's great.
And you will actually be dumped into a Facebook group for that. And if you have questions, I'm there to answer it. So it's super simple. It's easy. It's a resource I make available to my patients if they want it. And that way they, you know, I actually have on there 25 gut healing recipes. That in itself, they love it. And so you've got gut healing recipes and things that you can, take with you to the grocery store. So you have a shopping list that's already prepped for you. And now it gives you a starting point, because a lot of times for people, it's like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what to do. And so,
and what a perfect time right now to really, everyone's like, what do I have control over? Well, you have control over what you eat, as long as you can still get to the grocery store right now, right? If you're in a community that can still,
those are open. There's no excuse.
Yeah. US, there's no stores closed unless they're, you know, small mom, even mom and pop are actually able to stay open because they're considered essential. So, you know, support your local markets. You know, if there's a farmer's market going on, you're going directly to the source. I mean, that's maybe even one of the better places to go is if you have a local farmer's market, you know, but you have a list of food, you have a recipe guide, you have step-by-step through the 5 R's. That's great. That's a great.
And so when it comes to the last part, the way it all started was, I just wanted to show people how to ferment. And you know, when I became a certified fermentationist, it's like, I love kefir, kombucha, cultured foods, and things of that nature. And I realized when I started to go into this whole direction of helping people with their gut, I'm like, well, you definitely need to have kefir. Like, let's say it's on the rebuild. And they're like, okay, so how do I make it? I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to start over. But literally on my website, myculturelife.com, it gives you all of that stuff for free. Just check it out. You can go online. It shows you, I've got recipes on how to do it. I've got the how-to recipes, and then how you can flavor them to make it fun, and you can be creative yourself and make it yourself. And, you know, come up with ideas yourself, I should say. But I've got how to make kombucha, how to make kefir, how to make fermented foods, how to make shrubs, and all of these things are right on the website. And if you wanted a little bit more, like, okay, how do I exactly do it? You know, here's what's interesting. Fermenting foods, it's like a chemistry project. It's a science project in your kitchen. And a lot of times people are like, okay, is this white stuff on the top safe for me? Should I just dump the whole thing? Is it good or bad? So just for fun, I just put together a small little how to ferment online. And that it's $29. You can literally just go into this group, and I show you step-by-step how to make cultured foods or fermented foods.
How fun. And what a better time right now. You guys have the time to, not everyone does, right? But if you know someone who has the time, maybe you can get this as a project for them, you know?
Pickles, carrots, sauerkraut. And if you really, I mean, it is so simple. It's so easy. And yes, you can go and you can learn how to do that. You can do it all yourself. But if you have a question, if you're like, hey, this looks a little funky, is this safe? I will be the one looking in at that and saying, yes, that's okay. It's calm yeast. It's no big deal. Or I'll say, you know what, that looks a little bit questionable. Dump it, start over. And, you know, but I teach you how to, you know, self-brine, which is like from cabbage, like basically to make sauerkraut, you need cabbage, you need salt. And this is how you do it. Versus a pickle brine, which is totally different because the cucumbers are more soft, versus like if you make like an Italian mix where there's, you know, carrots and cauliflower and celery where they're harder. It's so delicious. And so, you know, I ferment almost everything. Like I make garlic cloves. So instead, you know how they just go in your pantry and they get dried out and you can't use them anymore because you don't use them enough? I literally shuck them. I get them into the jar. I ferment them. And so not only do you have amazing garlic that you can grab at any time and they're perfect, but they're fermented. So the health benefits are that much more. So if you're not feeling well, pop one in, and you can, if you can tolerate doing it that way.
Oh, garlic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there's
stuff them in an olive and eat it like that.
It's a lot of fun. Nonetheless, if nothing else, it's a lot of fun. It's something else to learn.
Oh, I love it. What a great time to do something like that and create a project with your kids, right? Do something, learn something new. Definitely figuring out any kind of way that we can come out of the other side of this thing better, stronger, healthier, right? Exactly. So how are you and your family managing during these times right now?
We're doing fine because I am considered an essential business. So I am still going to the office. We're taking care of our patients. My goal is to not burden the hospitals. So if I'm open and a person's coming into me, as opposed to like their back hurts, they've got a flare up of their sciatica. If I were closed, they're going to go to the hospital. Now they're burdening those workers that much more than what they already are at this point, And so they're coming in, they're getting their adjustments, but we're also taking care of our maintenance patients, giving them that support, because a lot of times they're coming out of like an intensive care. They're better, but if we were to just stop them right off the track, right then and there, the chance of them flaring back up is pretty high. So we put them on a maintenance to help support them during this phase. And so they're able to come in and get their adjustments. But also what we're teaching our patients is that not only are you getting out of pain, but we're helping to boost your immune system, especially during this time. So we're doing all of that. We're open. It's definitely slower, but we're, still educating and going in and doing our part.
We're so grateful to you to be able to stay on the front lines for us and make sure you help ease some of that burden on our healthcare system right now. It seems like from the news, from keeping up, everyone seems to be okay. There seems to be enough of everything. There doesn't seem to be any need to be turning anybody away or anything that was the concern before. So we do appreciate you contributing to that. So thank you for that. How is it? And it's been okay. Your family's, you got the support from your family. They're not worried. Good. I know it's been a little rough on some families because of like even the grocery store clerks because they're considered essential. They're coming home and they're putting their family at risk.
So I think that's that part of living in fear that I just don't subscribe to. And I just can't go there. I think emotionally, like you can't do that. You have to live in a state of abundance. And I think that's just part of being a healthy person, is not living in that fear. So I have a family business. I have 2 chiropractic offices, and I work out of one. I have another associate doctor that works out of the other one. But my family, we all work in the offices. My daughter works at one office. My son works at the other one, and we're all working. And, I don't feel like I'm putting them at risk because everyone is keeping busy. We're super clean. We sterilize everything. It's cleanest it's ever been. And,
well, and that's exactly right.
Everyone is cleaner than they've ever been. And, one of my patients, she just came in today. I tried ordering masks. I couldn't get them. But one of my patients, her sister makes them. So I'm ordering them for everyone in our office. So they'll have a mask, but we glove up and change gloves between every patient. We wipe down between every patient. We're wiping down all the high touch areas. So for us, we're good. And if anyone is remotely sick, they're not allowed to come in. Like, unfortunately, normally I say, if you're not feeling well, come in, we'll help to boost your immune system. But unfortunately for this particular thing, I have to say no. And we'll just have to wait until, you're clear, and not put everyone else at risk. So there are safety precautions that we are taking that are different than what I normally would do, just based on this being different. But yeah, it's hard on a lot of people. I don't like the isolation part of it. I feel like I live in a ghost town. But at the same time, I don't like to subscribe to the fear aspect of it.
I appreciate that coming from you. I agree. I do my part, but that's it. I figured out how to do my workouts at home. I figured out what I need to do to make up for the fact that other places are closed. But I really feel like this is going to help for a lot of things besides the COVID, because of the fact that all the other flus have gone down. 1, because they may be getting misrepresented, but 2, because of the fact that everyone's being cleaner. Everyone's finally like washing their, like, why did we get away from washing our hands and not touching things we shouldn't be touching, and distancing so we're not breathing on the back of other people's necks. The high volume areas, because of the fact they can't even move 6 feet without 2 people in that space, that does need to be addressed, right? Maybe that's something that needed to be addressed. And so now, creating that space and creating, just figuring out what's going to work moving forward, because there's going to be a new normal. And being able to look at it as like a positive thing. A lot of people are worried about going back to the way it was, but it's about moving forward. It's about figuring out how to maneuver around whatever legitimate issues or fear-based issues now there are. Right. And having to maneuver around the economy the way that it's going to shift, right? Regardless of what happens, being fluid, being able to keep that balance. And so one more time, what was your website for everyone?
myculturedlife.com.
My Cultured Life. Is that with an E or ED?
ED, My Cultured Life. Yeah. And so what I love about it is, again, you've got a free resource for a lot of things, and you can just check it out. And
sorry about that. I just got a call, so that for some reason messed us up. So myculturedlife.com.
myculturedlife.com. And if you want to learn how to make kombucha or kefir, you can go right on and check it out. It's right there. If you want me to kind of hold your hand through the whole process, I have an online fermentation course, and they can check that out. So it's completely up to your listeners what they would prefer, but it's a lot of fun. It's super important. Again, it's about overall health and what you can do, and your gut health is not something to be ignored. It's something to be addressed for sure. A lot of people, and especially with what you mentioned earlier about mental health, serotonin is one of the neurotransmitters that actually makes you happy, and 90% is actually manufactured in the gut. So a lot of times, just to make someone happier or less depressed is a change in diet and addressing your gut health. And so I think it's super important to pay attention to all of those things.
I love that. Thank you so much for reiterating that. It is one of the main focal points, I believe, for myself in my own personal journey of lifestyle transformation and mental health repair. It's definitely something that, and moving your body, right? Moving the lymphatics, getting the blood flowing through the gut and through the brain, and just everything moving, right? So pay attention to what you're eating, pay attention to what you're doing, pay attention to who you're being. And we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thanks again, Carolyn. It was a pleasure to have you. And we're checking out at the Jenn Henry Experience.